So here's what they did. They adopted the human in the loop concept and rebuilt their end-to-end system.
Okay.
And how it was implemented was it was a tiered workflow which had both humans and fully autonomous AI agents. So simple queries were fully AI handled. What is the baggage limit on this flight for this destination? AI had the response. What is the late fee for this tiered, like say economy or first class? If I cancel it, what is the date to get a full refund or no refund? It had the exact information.
Okay.
But complex issues, like slightly complex issues, like I checked in my bag, but my bag didn't make it to my destination. Now it's in transit. Will I be refunded money for my ticket or something like that?
Mhm.
It's a little more nuanced because they will be refunded some money or some airline credits. But if you flew first class, then I don't know if they'll refund your entire, whatever you paid, your payment. So that's slightly nuanced. And in those responses, what they did, what AI would take the stab at it, at drafting the response, but there was a human overview
Right.
where they would make sure that the information AI is gathered from reading through all of the policies is accurate or not. So before hit send, there was an overview or a guardrail. And then really sensitive emotional cases went directly to human agents.
Mhm.
And so they built this tiered approach that catered to the strengths of AI agent and the strengths of humans,
Okay.
right? And the impact was much better than they anticipated. There was they got back a lot of that lost trust. They were able to be more efficient in their workflow, process through a lot more tickets. So the business was successful. At the same time, the ethos of the company was also intact. Like
Okay.
this is what we stand for, customer first, and customer care. Got a lot of what do you say, like a facelift,
Mhm.
but
Correct.
something that
Correct.
also had humans and AI,
Yeah.
right? So the key takeaway for them was for you to be able to implement AI, even if you're a complete believer in AI, there are stages to build it in, and there is a way to adopt it in your companies and in your industry.
Okay.
Because it's super important that you maintain your customer and user trust and also their usability in mind,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So that's how this worked for the company that I'm thinking about, that this example is based on. How even though they believed that an AI solution would solve all their problems,
Mhm.
it was a much bigger problem. It caused them a much bigger problem.
Right.
Have you heard or seen of anything, Chaitanya, in
Uh, I have, and as a matter of fact, of course, there are a lot of examples in tech or IT, but I would like to quote a much more relatable example. So,
Mhm.
you hear about these cars that Tesla is manufacturing right now, wherein you it's sort of a driverless car. So, I am
Yeah,
not sure about how well it works in the US or other countries, but if I talk it from the Indian perspective,
yeah,
other day we were discussing that no amount of AI or no amount of machines can guarantee 100% success on the roads, because the kind of objects that you might witness on the roads here in India would be a little hard to suspect. So, you cannot prepare for something that you do not know would happen. AI is
yeah.
always prepared for something, for some possible, maybe some speed breakers or maybe something like that. But if you maybe you're not aware about a street animal coming up because you do not see it there. So I think that is, I mean, when we were discussing about this concept of humans in the loop, sort of wanted to correlate to that example. That is wherein you have this system wherein you put your car on auto drive, but it's not that you just sit at the backside. You sit on the driver's side. You're on an expressway wherein things are good. You sort of put your legs on the seat and you chill a little bit, but you do not entirely sleep away, because that might be your last sleep if not anything else. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, of course, you can maybe you can have a cup of coffee, you can have a cup of tea, listen to your music, but just keep an eye on the road. So I would say if not 100%, 60 to 70% of your effort can be reduced. I think that is the best way wherein which you can guarantee your survival plus have some luxury or some leisure time as well. So I think that is the best example
Yeah.
I could correlate to.
I like the example because it's literally you're in the driver's seat and
Right.
you're not letting
Right.
AI do it for you.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I have sat in one of those cars. It's not the one Tesla is building, but there's a car called Waymo.
Okay.
And sat in it as an experience when I was in San Francisco.
Mhm.
It is the scariest thing that you will experience because it is literally driving, right? And it also asks you what kind of music you want, and you see the steering wheel turning, and it was very, very spooky. It was like a Halloween experience. My kids loved it because they were in the back seat and they thought this was like Mr. India or something like that, you know.
Right. Right.
But it was very, very accurate. Like it could sense cars, it could sense even a stop sign, and it obeyed all the rules and it drove faster than I would in a city. So
Mhm.
I was looking at it as what I would, it was driving in speed limit, but if I was in SFO and driving myself, I would have driven super slowly because people
Uh,
are constantly crossing and joggers and all of that. But it did a phenomenal job. On the other hand, the car that I do drive here back home does have what you said, which is we have an auto drive mode that we can turn on only on
correct.
highways and like that. And you're right, you're constantly looking. And it also has that discipline of maintaining the in
Right.
lane. It doesn't let you change lanes and things like that. I like that example. It's literally you're in the driver's seat. So
Yeah,
that's
and I think
definitely
when you talk about your example wherein you were driving this car and which was sort of flawless using AI and I mean the other sort of intelligences, the only thing that differentiates us as humans from the bots or the robots is the emotional intelligence. So you have that empathy. I mean, as you mentioned in one of your example, that you have that
yeah,
empathy that okay, I am on this road and there I see two people and the more scarier part would be that maybe a mother is with her kid and she's walking on the path and the machine would not be that not I would even not that I mean it will be 100% practical but as a human you will be a little more careful a little more precautious than you need to be so and
yeah,
as we always say when I started I mean when I was in 11th standard I guess we started some programming languages learning some programming languages my teacher's first word or first sentence in the class was that computers are pretty dumb. It's we who have made them pretty smart, right? That is, I think,
yeah,
the same thing goes with AI as well. That AI is
does.
what you have made
Mhm.
it to be, and it will always, and I mean, at least for the coming future, it will always lack that emotional empathy, and I think it
Yeah.
should because the day it starts developing the emotional features as well, that is the actually the day when we should start worrying. But I think for that time we are safe. We are good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's so many cultural nuances. Like, if you think of it globally, it's
Yeah.
really difficult for AI to form that lived experience
Correct.
truly. But even when that happens, and I do think it'll happen, it's not if it'll happen, it is when it'll happen.
Right.
Which is why all of these AI ethic conversations that are going on, in the world by OpenAI as well, they're talking about AGI models. All of that is so that we build those guardrails around something that can self-learn based on data, so much so that you don't have control over how it develops,
Correct.
right? So that'll be a topic for another day for us.
For sure. And I think this topic is quite close to my heart, having the guardrails and everything, because I saw a very eminent person posting on LinkedIn where he said that yes, we are the AI and bots and everything is going to be quite famous. But the only thing is that earlier developing a website or developing an app was a tedious task. Everybody could not do it. But today, since everyone can do it, it's a good thing. But at the same time, it's a huge risk because the data will be compromised a lot. So you have to
Yeah.
be very much sure and you have to be very, very sort of on your toes when it comes to guardrails about the security. So yeah, I think that's another topic. I think we already have another topic to discuss.
Yeah, yeah, no, certainly, certainly. Okay, so we've understood then what are the strengths and weaknesses. We've seen what are the principles to use to develop, and an actual example of where it was implemented incorrectly and then addressed.
Correct.
So let's dive in and talk about if you, as in your viewers, are looking to introduce this in their companies and their teams, what do you have to do, or how can you go about it, right? And all good things start with a question
Correct.
or a set of questions, which is just ask yourself and your leadership team, do these tasks or does a task have a clear answer or
Correct.
a clear response? If it's clear, it's not ambiguous, then yes, it's ready to automate, right? So that's the first step. The second one is risk reversibility matrix. Now, Amazon has this as one of their leadership principles as well, which is a one-way door or a two-way door.
Mhm.
So when you're making a decision, is it a one-way door? As in, if you go through it, there's no way of retracting or coming back. You've made that decision, you have to stick with it.
Mhm.
That's high risk. So you have to be absolutely sure when you're making it. The two-way door is you can make a decision, test it out. If it doesn't work out, there's always an option to come back with minimal damage. The same concept applies to assessing what needs to be using AI.
Okay.
If the reversibility risk is low, then go ahead and try and automate it. But
Correct.
if it's high risk and it'll take a lot more time and cost and effort to roll back what you've done, then hold off and put that under the basket of human in the loop solution, right?
Okay.
Domain context. This is key. This is what you and I have been constantly been talking about as well. If it requires domain context, it's absolutely necessary to have a human in the loop,
Correct.
or AI will, on multiple occasions, get it wrong. And the last one is edge cases, right? So what are the unknown unknowns?
Right.
Like you gave a really good example right now in that car situation, where as a human, if I see a mom or a dad with a little kid,
Right.
in my mind, I might be thinking, oh, they are coming to the crosswalk. The kid might just dash.
Correct.
That is something I know that it could happen. It's an unknown unknown. It may not happen too. But AI will, or the model will not recognize it until it physically senses someone walking closer to the sidewalk. So the car won't stop. So situations like that is definitely human in the loop. So if I'm in the driver's seat, I can override its decision to speed, instead slow it down. Then we have a better solution, right? So for audiences who've, always thought, okay, you know what, AI is going to replace us, as you can see, it's quite flawed, but it's also fantastic and brilliant. So it's more the reason why we should train ourselves in it. The AI tools are super easy to learn and get on board with. So use it to improve your efficiency.
Correct.
Right. So if you follow these four steps, and this is in your planning, strategy planning, team planning, that phase where you go through this process of asking the questions like, does it have an actual answer? Risk reversibility matrix is super important. That is what is going to define like your customers' trust in you and the, you know, what do you say, the accuracy of the solution you've built, all of that kind of depends on that.
Okay.
Then the others are related to nuances, the
Mhm.
unknown unknowns and domain context. So once you as a team have clarity on what are these tasks or workflows that fall under these subcategories, it'll become very easy for you to identify which ones are worth just being autonomous and which ones qualify for human in the loop workflow,
Got it.
right?
Got it.
So next I want to, quickly talk about,
Mhm.
you've identified a set of them as human in the loop solution. They qualify for AI solutions as well. How do you get it right? How
Mhm.
do we build it? Um, so it solves our problem and doesn't cause us a lot of harm, right? Everything is experimentation, but some experiments are costly. So why not do the grunt work upfront?
Correct.
Um, so some of the strategies of getting it right, this is the last slide spoke about what you should do before, and this slide talks about what you can do during and after, right?
Okay.
So let's kind of look through some of these pointers. The first one is intervention rates. When you have built a human in the loop solution already, figure out or measure, not figure out, not vague, but specific, measure the number of times a human had to intervene or override AI decisions. So that's helping you understand how often AI is getting things wrong, what type of data it's getting wrong. So there's plethora of information there for you to redo your systems.
Correct.
And the quality delta. Now, this can be done even before you launch it to users broadly. Do it with beta users or do A and B testing where the same problem is given to an agent and the same problem is given to an AI agent, like human agent and AI agent. What is the delta of in the quality of responses, in the quality of output, right? Measure that so you understand. Even if on paper something seemed like a good thing for a human to do, maybe the AI agent is doing better, or vice versa, right? Maybe the human's doing it better. And this is very dependent on the type or caliber of humans you have as well, right? Resources. So for this, assume your standard requirement for a resource that needs to fill that role. So if you're looking at a senior QA or like a senior engineer,
Mhm.
what would they do versus this agent, right?
Okay.
Training signals, like leverage people like domain experts or people in your company who are experts to continuously refine the AI model, right? And you have to give them some what do you say, like what's in it for us is a big question people have, like why should I train my replacement?
Correct.
It's understanding that if you train the agent to do your repetitive jobs, you can take on more strategic roles and more important complex problems. So it's not so much, it'll replace you. It's almost like you delegating your work to someone else, like you have your own assistant now who can do these repetitive things so you can do better, but
Correct.
overall the company is also benefiting, right?
Correct.
And then improve UX. Like this is a big focus in the AI world right now, where the UX is still not as good as it needs to be. So any big company you see, they're investing heavily in UX. And some of them are also saying they might not be UX entirely because there are multimodal AI models where it does speech to text and whatnot. So you focus on how your users or customers will interact with this AI piece. So not just user interface, but how will they interact and how can you make it more intuitive for people to understand? And the last one is a confidence threshold. I would again do this before you roll the solution out, but also after you roll the solution out, right? What is the confidence level of your customers, your beta users of using an AI agent? What is the confidence level of your own internal domain leads using the agent? So there are steps you can take to build it the right way,
Mhm.
identify which one to build, but once you've built it, the work continues. There are steps to assess if what you've done is the right solution. If not, how can you improve it? Measure it, give both humans and AI the support it needs to do the best to serve the business and to serve your customers, right? So these are some of the strategies I've leveraged directly in the companies that I have worked and that I advise. Not all of them apply to one company. Like it's not a checkbox that I have to do all of this, but definitely a handful of them based on just situation and what the business problem requires.
Perfect.
So that's kind of what I wanted to walk
Yeah.
you, Chaitanya, and your audience through, which is a whole journey of First, being comfortable with AI, being part of your team. Think of them as your teammates because hybrid teams are coming.
Correct.
Then identifying the strengths and weaknesses, and then applying your solutions to AI strengths and human strengths,
Okay.
right? And then some strategies for, all right, we now know which workflows to use AI for, how to include a human in the loop. Now we've built it, how do we make sure we're successful? So
Correct.
the previous slide was more strategies to continuously improve your AI models, but also make sure your team and your company employees feel empowered to use these AI models, right?
Correct.
Ultimately, your customers and your users should love you, should
Right.
love your product. It should serve them as in solve a real problem for them.
Correct.
Those are that in a nutshell is how I would go about developing a human in the loop system. And we are still few steps away from complete autonomous systems that could take months or it could take years.
Right.
But in the meantime, I highly encourage people to educate themselves more in AI. How can you use it in your everyday work? And for leadership teams to be open to doing this, how can you weave AI into solutions and not be at the two ends of the spectrum, like complete naysayers and completely bought into it? Like, how do you build like a balanced approach?
Correct.
That's what I wanted to say. But if you want to, yeah, if you have any questions or you want to talk more about it, I'm more than happy to double click on something.
I think I have a lot of things to talk about because AI is always exciting. It's new, but and see, as we have already talked about it, the entire intent of having these sessions with you, and of course, a lot of upcoming sessions with you would be to clear out the false air around AI, because I mean, when I am on the ground, when I'm on the field, I hear people and you have this joke going around or sort of this false information going around that okay, just wait till AI eats up your job. And even I felt so at the very start when it came, but then as you research and as you start exploring more of AI, you eventually realize that that is so much far away from the truth. But if you just go to someone and you say that no, this is not true, this is false, they might feel that okay, what you're saying is good to hear, but I don't think it's logical. I don't think
Yeah.
it's truth. It's more of just a false hope or something. So that is the intent of this session or upcoming sessions, is that we sort of convince people logically. The one of the major intent of having this channel is that we make a claim, but we always back it by logic. So I
Mhm.
think that this video or this speed podcast or session of ours is going to help to folks who are new to AI, who are midway there, and especially to companies or to employees who are planning to start implementing AI in their journey, be it in their day-to-day jobs or be it in their organization-wide processes. But I think this was quite an informative session, and we sort of have an entire roadmap now that from what is human in the loop AI, what is it, what are the challenges, how do you implement it, and we have a template as well. So I think this is quite a valuable I would say a session. So thank you so much for being here, Sue. And one thing is for sure, this I'm not I'm going to keep on bugging you and pinging you for a lot of upcoming sessions. I have a lot of ideas going in my mind. So
Absolutely.
I hope
Yeah.
you also had a great time with us.
No, I had a lovely time speaking with you, and some of the examples you brought to the table were very relatable and kind of helped drive the point home, right? No pun intended there. If this gets, if people are interested, I can share the slide deck with you for you to put it up.
Yeah.
But if they're interested and they have follow-up questions on it, like, oh, this seemed good when you said it, but I want to try it, and if they have something else we could maybe do an AMA session to
Yeah,
follow up
that sounds
one. So if your audiences have any questions that weren't addressed or made it more confusing, then we could address in that session. I find that in conversations like this, especially podcasts, where I hear something and then I was like, man, wait, I had a question for this person.
right.
So You could either do that, or I encourage you to, check out LinkedIn as well, because I post there
Yeah,
actively.
yeah. That sounds good.
Right?
That sounds good. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, see you soon and talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.